Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 389, if I can say it correctly. This is your guide to the geek side. And before we begin this beautiful podcast, just a reminder that you can subscribe to all our podcasts. The Geek Prime that you're listening to today, the Star Trek, the Star Wars, and also the video games on the network feed on anywhere you get podcasts. Also, check out YouTube so you can see our wonderful faces and you can see them in more places wherever you can get YouTube. Subscribe, watch, and see all the hijinks ensue and our wonderful backgrounds as you are going to see.
Wherever you can get YouTube, so you mean like the internet is everywhere? That's awesome.
Your phone, your TV, your computer, your refrigerator, your Tesla screen. It's everywhere, folks. Anywhere you want YouTube, you can get it. So subscribe and please join us on this journey. And I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Todd Oxtra, one of your hosts, joined by Charlie Carden.
Boom, boom. Sunday, I did 13 miles of trail ride today on my bike. I feel powerful and good.
Very good.
After it rained for like 48 hours in one day yesterday. I don't know. It was just, it's a streak of weird weather here. I don't get it. But whatever. Yeah, and then back in the 80s this upcoming week. I don't know.
Well, I discovered a new art park my mom is visiting from Michigan, and we went to the Capone Art Park, which is named after essentially a very talented artist. He was a professor at Macalester College here, and it's a wonderful park that has all this wonderful sculptures and artwork, natural things, metal. Somebody had made a praying mantis out of like chrome auto parts. So very cool. Just check out the parks around your place. You never know what you'll find there. My son was thoroughly enthused by the whole experience. Infused by the all of the wonderful artwork. So there you go. And we are joined by a fellow artist, a Katie Quinn person. How are you doing, Katie?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me, as always.
It's always a pleasure, and we're always glad I don't scare you away every episode. So thank you for coming back. But you know what else will scare you, Katie? This wonderful cover, The Mighty Thor 389. This is about as old school as you get. It's a cover with like 85 blurbs. When the thunder fails, the fate of a world, Thor battles on, the stunning secret of celestial judgment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also Asgard in peril, and much more.
And much more. All inside. It's very Stan Lee. You know, you've got a Lemurian. I'm assuming that's a blue guy. But the Celestial, it's not all bad. The Celestial is kind of giving you the big thumbs up. So maybe he, much like our B-roll conversation about graffiti in the men's room, he has something positive to say.
I don't know if that's a thumbs up or more of like, I am going to snatch you out of the air.
Or I'm going to give you the dreaded Rear Admiral.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of things that you hope don't happen in the men's room. Yikes.
But also, like, his head looks kind of like an AC unit.
That's the thumbs up. It's hot outside. He's giving you the thumbs up because the AC works.
Keeping it cool,
Keeping it cool.
This is a tough era Thor. He's not wearing any costume you even recognize. He's just shirtless. Mjolnir is broken. This is the bad days of Thor, to be honest. It didn't get good for quite some time.
And to look at his body, he lost a battle with like a bunch of house cats. He's got little scratches on him. A lot of paper cuts, maybe. I don't know. I mean, he lost the office battle and the office cat battle. That's tough. Oh,
maybe on his bicep. I know they did it like as a foreshadowing, but it's really throwing me because it looks like he's just got some sort of weird like netting on his arm or on his tricep back there.
It's a bicep wrap.
Yeah, that's what's really throwing me off there.
And the rest of his outfit is like a steely gold or some kind of gold.
Except for his knees, which are completely matte black. That is black, like Anish Kapoor type black. Like that is the true black type of deal there.
This was an odd choice to pick up at the Asgardian Walmart. There's no doubt about it.
I'm giving the artist a pass those because he's doing a lot here. So he didn't have time for details, guys. He didn't have time for artistic license. He's like, here it is.
Oh, well, Todd,
he's doing a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's doing it well, but he's doing a lot. Choices were made.
Choices were made. Todd, this is
mistakes were made.
100. Well, let's not dig too. This is also 100% by a friend of the show, Ron Friends, who was a guest of ours many, many years back. He was an artist on Amazing Spider-Man for a lot of years. But yeah, this seems like it's a little front loaded, and I feel like there's no way the inside of it couldn't be a big letdown. So, but one way we never get let down is when we're talking to Madam Webb, our senior news correspondent down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine. Let's go see what she's talking about this week. Away we go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. My goodness. This is really exciting times for you, Madam Webb. You're not part of the DC cinematic universe, so everything's safe. Madam Webb movie is coming on strong. It's going to be the biggest movie in the world. Nobody can wait. So, Madam Webb, I hope you're saving all your money for that big premiere on Broadway or wherever it's going to be, and you show up when it's actually going to happen, because the world will finally get to recognize the wonder of Madam Webb.
And the dog's coming for you. Watch out.
My goodness.
They're in agreement with their excitement over the Madam Web movie.
Oh, my God.
Who let the dogs out? We'll never know. It was a rhetorical question, by the way.
Exactly. It's a question for the ages. All right, what do we got up first here, Toddy Todd?
Yes, the first story is one that makes me laugh, but I understand why they are doing this. So Pennyworth.
Yeah,
I do. I do. So Pennyworth is a series that was originally on Epix, I believe, for the first 2 seasons, and is now on HBO Max. The 3rd season is coming out, and this is essentially the origin of Alfred Pennyworth, the butler.
The origin of the butt. What was
takes place in the 60s, I assume. He's working for Bruce Wayne and is telling his story. Right. You know, the fact that it's actually survived, and I've never watched an episode of this, and I've heard decent things about it, but it's getting retitled. Essentially, the title is now going to be this is wonderful. Pennyworth, the origin of Batman's butler.
You know, 100% because of all of the comic book covers that we have from the 50s and the 60s, even into the 70s, with all the exposition, and Superman takes over the earth and changes all the flags in front of the United Nations was one we had. It's like, let's put it all out there on Front Street. But yeah, Pennyworth, the origin of Batman's butler. I mean, this sets it up for any million jokes. Johnson, the origin of Batman's pool guy. I mean, it's a bad punchline, you know what I'm saying? But obviously the show has something to it if it's survived on Epix, and that was probably easy because no one has Epix. But now it's going to be on HBO Max, right? So they're putting their best foot forward. This seems to be a project that they're going to hang on to, which seems weird, I guess. But maybe they're hoping it's going to be profitable because people are going to come over like, oh, God, I got to see what happens with Pennyworth. So now I'm going to subscribe to HBO Max. But yeah, I'm like you. I don't know. This reminds me of that show Krypton on the Sci-Fi Channel, which I also never watched because I don't have the Sci-Fi Channel because I don't have cable. So I don't know. I think it's cool. I love the 60s setting. That's definitely pretty, dope with me. But yeah, that title is just it's a bad punchline. It's a bad punchline because then it, like I said, spins off all the other series. Batman's pool guy, Batman's gardener, Batman's dry cleaning guy, Batman's landscaper.
There was a pun. There was a joke of this in Teen Titans Go the Movies, where essentially Robin was pissed off that he didn't get his own movie, and they said, "Oh, and now here Alfred's getting a movie," and before Robin did, which is essentially true. But yeah, I mean, I think the reason they're doing this is essentially to broaden the fact. Put it Batman in the title of anything, it's going to get more popularity than Pennyworth, which unless you're really into Batman, you know who Alfred Pennyworth is. Essentially. Yeah, no, but do you really need a title to really explain what the show is about? I mean, Breaking Bad didn't tell you the story of the meth dealer who was a chemistry teacher who got cancer. I mean, can we start doing that? I mean, my son loves mangas and these animes where essentially they tell you in firm, long detail what the stupid thing is about, and it sounds so awkward and funny, but kids love it.
But it will give us an example. Can you think of one?
Oh, oh, is it okay to hit on girls when you're raiding a dungeon? Is one of them. It's
and
like
that's a whole story, or that's an ongoing series that they're printing that on the front of every cover?
It's a series of manga that they've turned into an anime. Yeah, so it goes on forever. But just once again, they love to be overly detailed in their titles, basically telling you the plot. So I don't know, Katie.
We're backwards into the era of Stan Lee.
I mean, I think that they did this because, like you're saying, it's on Epix and nobody watches Epix. And they're like, okay, well, if we're going to keep this on HBO Max, we have to do something other than Pennyworth because no one's going to know what this is and no one's going to watch it. So then when people search Batman, this will pop up. But, like, I can't imagine that this is going to survive past the third season because, like, it looked meh from the... Like, I honestly forgot the show existed. I genuinely did. Like, I remember hearing something about it when it was first coming out, and then I was like, oh, whatever. So
yeah.
I can't imagine that it's, like, absolutely breathtaking and that it's, you know... Because, honestly, like, I'm not that interested. It's kind of falling in that avenue of Gotham for me, where they were trying to rewrite, like, origin stories and make it so this all fit together and everything was, like, intertwined. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to see where, Bruce is meeting Selena Kyle when he's 11 because it's weird. I don't want to see this.
It's very Star Wars. It's, what did Lando have for breakfast the Tuesday after we met him on Cloud City?
I'd rather see other stuff going. Like, I'd be more interested in, like, Thomas's story as a doctor trying to, like, build a clinic and, help, like, impoverished individuals and, where there's this wealth disparity and then him coming into wealth and trying to figure out, like, how to manage. I think that would be a much more interesting story than, he's a secret spy who becomes a butler.
Right. And wasn't that a show in the 80s called Mr. Belvedere? Am I misremembering a lot of that show? Come on, it was totally it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the butler, there's the stories of the Downton Abbey butler, I mean, are astounding. Yeah. Give that guy a spin-off too.
He was James Bond, I'm just saying.
Tales of Butling.
There's no evidence that he's not. So
I think, and I don't know many shows that have been retitled throughout time. There was Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, which became Two Guys and a Girl, which, because they had to explain why the pizza place wasn't there anymore. So that's a real reason, right? The Seinfeld Chronicles just became Seinfeld. Any other titles that you know of that changed?
Easy. Enterprise became Star Trek Enterprise because they didn't think people could figure out it was Star Trek. And Katie would agree. She's no fan.
I knew it was Star Trek. I just didn't want to watch it.
Touche.
Oh boy. Well, you know what? It's on HBO Max now. And that season 3 is coming to HBO Max. This was before the whole, the shakeup. Warner Brothers used to sell all their content everywhere. You had Gotham on Fox, and you had things all over the place, but you still had the CW stuff. So this is kind of the tail end of those deals and those products going elsewhere. So we'll see how this goes, and if people really now are turning in because we know he's the Butler Batman. So there you go. Next story. In why are they doing this? Oh, because money. That is, Pac-Man is getting a live action movie.
I got just a handful of words for you. It worked for Sonic. It did. That Sonic movie is great. I haven't seen the second one.
Bingo.
There is a 100% chance of it worked for Sonic, and that's why we're doing this. And clearly looking to grab. I mean, who are some of the creators in this?
Well, we've got Justin Baldoni from 5 Feet Apart in Clouds and Steve Serwitz, who is behind Maya Angelou and Still I Rise. So if I think about anybody who knows Pac-Man, it's someone that did a documentary about Maya Angelou.
There's no doubt about it.
What are they even doing?
I don't know, but you know what? Maybe they're budgeting on the fact that people will be so. It's like that Winnie the Pooh horror film that's coming out that we've talked about several times on the show. It looks ghastly, but it's like watching that car crash, right? I mean, I don't know, you guys. What are they really going to do with this? I mean, clearly it's being announced now. There'll be a movie in like 2.5, 3 years about this, but holy shit. What are they doing?
I can't say it's going to be good. It's going to be something.
There's no doubt it will.
Choices have been made.
Oh my God. Again. And I was talking about Sonic, and then I scroll down and here's Sonic. So yeah, they're not even hiding the fact that They're really
Yeah, no,
good.
they literally were like, well, Sonic did well, so let's do this. And it's
Yes, exactly.
did it though? I mean, did it really do well?
I think
it did like okay, but
I mean, I think it was fun to watch. My son really loved it. That probably enhanced my enjoyment of it. But yeah, box office wise, Todd,
it was huge.
It was big. It was successful, and that's a movie, that Sonic movie, that even survived its first trailer when they had to do a complete recompositing of Sonic the character himself, because the first version of him looked like a chupacabra or something really horrible.
Yeah, I would argue that that's part of the reason why Sonic did so well, though, is because there was such fan backlash, and because they went back and changed it, a lot of the fans were like, okay, we need to support them for changing this.
Right. Okay. So
they made the correct choice. So
right.
I think that's part of why it had such a big theatrical release.
Okay.
Unless they make, Pac-Man look like Slender Man, I can't really see why there would be.
Make him
look like, you know what? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Can I pitch you the plot?
Yes. I want to hear the Todd. I want to hear Todd a movie here. Break it down.
So this is going to be the story of John Pac-Man. He is a down in his luck ghost hunter until he discovers a drug that makes people hallucinate called power pellets and sees ghosts. So they're actually, this is just a ghost, not ghosts. Ghosts, yes. So he makes people hallucinate so they see ghosts, and then he essentially busts them or eats them, apparently, whatever he does. So that's my plot for this movie, because it's live action.
That was what, if you remember in Ghostbusters, that Walter Peck, who was a guy from the APA, Dickless, came in, and that's what he accused the Ghostbusters of doing. So this is a roundabout way of saying, hey, they could just have done that and made all that same money. But John, is it John Pac-Man or Jean Pac-Man? Is he a Frenchman?
John Pac-Man. It's Pac-Man.
Jean Pac-Man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so we'll see how this goes, but most likely they'll do the standard one. Pac-Man comes into our world. It's the old standby. Yeah. I hope the Mario movie doesn't do that, but that's kind of the easiest way to go about these things, because other than that, you get Battleship with Rihanna fighting aliens, because that's what the game is all about.
It was yes, absolutely. I'm curious with Battleship if they cranked out a version of Battleship that was like the movie, instead of doing this, or actually here's a big alien ship. I don't know who the hell knows.
Wasn't that funded underfunded by the Navy though? Because I remember we have a recruiter's office nearby, and they literally had Battleship posters.
Oh, how funny!
Recruiting office.
Oh, I had not. And my dad was in the Navy, and Todd, your dad too. So I have an affinity for the Navy. But yeah, I never knew that they tried to hornswoggle this. Was in a Babe Bruckheimer movie into a tool. Oh my god. Yeah.
It's like that would be like if the Air Force got behind Stargate because there happened to be Air Force people. That's how dumb it would be.
Or Top Gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Again, the Navy. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe everybody's got a big surge wanting to be fighter pilots again. Oh, Todd, moving along. The Simpsons. Todd, are you still watching The Simpsons? I can't remember a time I tuned in.
I do still enjoy it, and it's one of those shows. It's all about the writing, and when they get good writers, it's good again. When they get bad writers, it's bad. And it's been around for 32 years. Tell me any other show that is still even around after 10 years. And most shows, they always say, oh, it got bad after season 5. So I'm giving them all the credit, and they can reinvent themselves. And last season had some winners. Some were okay, but I thought they just have done some really good reinvention. And just as they bring in writers, they can really do some good things, that are quality writers. And that's where it's like SNL. You get some writers that get to cut their teeth on it.
Yeah, 47 years. To SNL is as old as you, Todd, 1975. So yeah, and SNL has had its dynasties.
People said my best days are behind me too.
Yes. Well, that is completely up to you. Yes. I'm sure not.
Yes.
But so this article is claiming that there is a formula, or there is a way that The Simpsons does what it does best, which is predict the future. So what's that all about?
Yeah, apparently they're going to actually address The Simpsons predicted it. That whole concept, we've seen it before, where Trump was predicted to be president. There's a bunch of other ones and they said essentially they're going to be exploring that concept, and it's actually going to have an episode with Simu Liu and Melissa McCarthy are going to be brought into the episode and they're going to do some crazy conceptual things to explain how it happens. So this is getting very meta, kind of like The Simpsons explaining The Simpsons. I appreciate this. And with 34 years in, they can do this stuff. And why not? They can just tell any stories and people enjoy it. So I'm all in on this. But what do you think? I mean, is this something where it's just too much in the weeds?
I'm scrolling through the bit at the bottom and I love it. Simpsons, predicts the iPhone. Simpsons obviously predicted Donald Trump becoming president. Blinky the three-eyed fish. Nobel Prize winner. I think that anybody who's been watching the show, and again, Todd, for you and I, this came on when we were in high school. For me in particular, Fox was big in my house because my mom worked at a Fox station. She sold advertising, so Fox was always on. So I watched the show from the jump. What's your experience with The Simpsons, Katie? Are you here, there, anywhere?
It was in my household, it was deemed inappropriate, and I was not allowed to watch it.
Not the first person that I've heard that.
Yeah,
from.
I mean, now granted, I was, I am 10 years your junior, so it was, much more adult humor than I can imagine my parents would appreciate. So I have seen like an episode here or there. I remember the Simpsons movie, and I greatly enjoyed that.
Yes, I agree.
But I mean, it's kind of at this point, like you were saying, it's been on for, they're on their 34th season. And so at some point they're going to be finding some things that are going to be predictors. Mm-hmm. Like, so I think it's funny when people are like, oh, I found this happened on The Simpsons. And I love that they're embracing this and that they're going to make an entire episode dedicated to it. But it's also, out of, how many episodes that they've made, a couple dozen have had something that had been relevant to the future in some way, shape, or form. So obviously there's going to be some overlap when you're making that much content for that long. Right.
Too much of tooting their own horn and, kind of snake eating its own tail. I think it'll be great. I would say I would watch it, but I know I'll forget. Todd, I can watch this on Hulu. Like next day, right? Isn't it usually next day?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe, you know what? Maybe, and this what did it say? September 25 is in about a month. So yeah, we'll make a concerted effort to actually watch it because it sounds like fun. I like it.
Yeah, after 400 episodes, which we're getting very close to our own show, I'm sure we've predicted many things, whether they've been right or wrong. Can't say we've predicted. They don't have to come true.
Yes, we make many predictions about the summer movie box office, but only one person takes home the XZ Zizor. Shizor. It's a whole thing.
I'm lulling you all into a false sense of security, and then I'm just going to take over. So it's coming soon, but soon could be any time. Yes. Next story is one of those what ifs in the real world of what if something actually happened. And one of those stories we got is actor Thomas Jane reveals that there was a scrap Punisher 2 that could have seen Rob Zombie at the helm of the Marvel sequel. Oh, wow. So I don't know which Rob Zombie this would be. Would it be him singing Dracula and making a zombie Punisher? Would it be like a grotesque, disgusting Punisher? I don't know where this would go, but it's funny. We've had how many more Punisher movies? We had the Dolph Lundgren, the Thomas Jane, and then we've also had
this Punisher Warzone. Which they mentioned here is Ray Stevenson, who was actually Volstagg in the first couple Thor movies, or at least he got whacked in Ragnarok in like 5 seconds. He was essentially it was that scene where Hela shows up. She jumps out of the Rainbow Bridgelator transporter thing, and it's kind of like Palpatine with the Jedi that she's just like whack and he's dead. She throws a knife at him. So, but yeah, that movie was absolutely disgusting. The Punisher Warzone. He's snapping necks. He's tearing people's heads off. He's blowing people's brains out. It's really bad. So how would that have been any different than if Rob Zombie made it? Seems like it was very similar.
And, so we've had four different Punishers on the screen, which is just amazing to me that a character as so minor as the Punisher has had a lot of attempts at the screen compared to other characters that we still have never seen yet. So this is very odd that they would even consider it another Punisher movie, because I don't think the first one did that good. And with having John Travolta as the bad guy playing a bad like mobster,
right. I mean, the Punisher was kind of a big deal in the 80s, if you really think about it. I mean, he had his own title. It was very popular. Larry Hama. You don't really think that it was worth... But yeah, 4 movies is, I mean, the only other Marvel character who's had 4 films, even if you string them all together, is Spider-Man and Thor, right? I mean, individual characters. So...
Yeah.
Well, if you count Wolverine, he's been in 85 million things.
Yes. Well, yeah, individual movies. Yeah, that's...
Oh, that's true. He's had 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, Katie, is the Punisher a character that resonates with you, and does Rob Zombie make it enticing?
Oh, I mean, you know, me and horror movies, and gratuitous violence.
We will not be seeing Katie doing Shocktober, that's for sure.
I mean, in all fairness, I did enjoy the iteration of him from Netflix. I thought they did a really good job of showing him as a soldier of war, as someone who was dealing with PTSD, and just the struggle that he had in kind of a bad guy doing bad things. Like, they never made him like this redeeming character of like, oh, you know, he just happens to break everybody's neck and shoot people in the face, but they're all mobsters, so it's fine.
It's good. It's cool. No, we like it. We like it.
We love brutality. Yeah. Captain America approves it.
Yes. So, you know, I didn't shy away from that, and I thought that was the best rendition that they could do with him, and I appreciated them focusing on the humanity aspect of him and the struggle of him, versus just being like, violence, gore. Let's see him, you know, blow someone up at the kneecaps. It's funny.
It was funny. We just watched that exact film. I was scrolling through HBO Max. I found the 1991 Denzel Washington movie Ricochet that had John Lithgow as the villain and Ice-T was the co-star. Actually turned out it was set in the Die Hard universe because they shared a character, which I told April then her jaw was on the ground. It was made. But that movie was nothing but squibs and exploding and kneecaps and drugs. And yeah, it has its place. But yeah, as far as, especially doesn't really fit into the mantra of the modern Marvel parlance. So,
oh, no, definitely not in the MCU.
Yeah, you wouldn't see Rob Zombie, you know, writing his own ticket in the MCU. So yeah, how bizarre. And I've not been a fan of his other, what the hell was his other, the House of 1,000 Corpses? That was pretty unwatchable for me.
Yeah, if you want an interesting take on Punisher, the Garth Ennis series he did with Marvel Max was really highly entertaining because they put the Punisher in all of these very bizarre, over-the-top scenarios. I mean, he ends up punching a polar bear. So it's kind of like, imagine the Punisher written for like a boys series in the Marvel universe. Very well done. That's what I want to see with Punisher. I just want to see him in all these bizarre experiences with all these bizarre, like, C-tier Marvel villains. Give me that. I don't want him to take like just plain old mobsters. I want him to take on like the Porcupine. Give me that. I'm all in.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wacky. Just wacky.
Yes. Yeah, so last story kind of piqued my interest because we're coming up to Shocktober, and Shudder has been really successful for a streaming independent service. AMC owns them, but it's a standalone horror service, which is pretty cool, and they've made some pretty good content. Well, they have a new movie coming out that really interested me because, you know, one of our America's, I guess, literary, you know, deities would be Edgar Allan Poe, and this is essentially putting the author of all these, you know, all the famous novels and everything, giving us his origin story, but kind of saying, oh, by the way, he had really cool adventures too, which I love. I just like it when they go over the top. They just do silly things like that. And apparently this is Edgar Allan Poe as a cadet at West Point investigating essentially a grisly murder. I love this. I think it's silly and stupid.
I've got 4 words for you. Abraham Lincoln, vampire hunter.
Yes. Okay, that's what I was. I'm like, wasn't there a Lincoln movie where he was hunting vampires or zombies or something?
Totally.
Absolutely, there was. Yes.
And I didn't see a lot of camp in this trailer. It looked very dark. No. April and I were watching it just on my laptop for you, and I'm like, there's another one we're going to have to watch with the lights off, babe, because I can't see anything. Everything is so dark these days. Oh, my God. Watch it at night with the lights off.
Ooh. Turn up the brightness to like 120, Charlie, and then everything will just pop.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like my eyeballs will pop. So yeah. So Todd, this is another one that I'm like, oh god, Oxford gave us another one of these weird trailers. So is Shudder is Shudder something else that transitions
Shudder
into
is
another service, or I got to
Shudder
find
is
it on my
part
own?
of AMC Plus. So if you own AMC Plus, you get all the Shudder content. So that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I think we do because April still loves the Walking Deads, and I'm like, but we still have it for that reason. So yeah, so I guess I could watch this, but the only way you'll pin me down to it, Todd, is if you put it into Shocktober, because I'll forget about it. Sad fact about me and my obvious, public university education, took me a long time to realize that Edgar Allan Poe was even an American author. I just simply thought he was. I thought of him like not that he lived in the time of Shakespeare, but I thought he was like an old timey British writer.
I need I'm just going to head out. I'm just going to head out.
Yes, Charlie, former journalist. Yes,
I will turn the lights off when I leave. I know. Yes, but you know what? I'm not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed to admit that I was able to learn that and get a new appreciation for our American literature.
Yes, and there was another movie, it was similar concept, but it was called The Raven with John. I'm blanking on his name. John Cusack played Edgar Allan. No, John Cusack played Edgar Allan Poe as well, investigating murder. So I love these things. They're silly. They're stupid. Why not? I love Sleepy Hollow, where they made Ichabod Crane a real character. So why not?
Oh my god, totally.
It's gold. It's gold. They got me on this one, so I'll have to check it out. So there we go. That is the news for this week. I hope everybody had a good time, learned something, and loved. And we all embrace the moment as we have it today with this nerdy news. So we're going to move on to our favorite geek establishment. So there's some nerd libation and participation in the things we love. So let's go.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, drinks are poured, and we are going to get our nerd on. So this week, Katie, what you got?
I just watched Nope yesterday. Woo! I know I'm just saying that I don't watch horror movies. I did that one.
What got you?
You got us. Jordan Peele, I really enjoyed Get Out. I have seen Us. So I wanted to see this one. I love the idea of larger than life monsters. Like that was my favorite magic cards were always like the Eldrazi, and you would see the images of like the hydras that were climbing over mountains, or like you could see them in like silhouettes in the sky and the clouds. So it was like, I can do this. Plus I thought the title of it was just hilarious.
Because they kept saying nope, because they were like, nope.
Right, well, because that's like, that's just a thing of like, nope, I'm done with this. Absolutely not. So I watched it, and it actually led to, Todd, you're going to be so proud of me. Aaron is taking me through my own version of like Shocktober, where he has planned, because I have always wanted to watch The Babadook and Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, God.
The
Babadook?
Yeah, yes. That is like yikes. That's like yikes.
But I can handle psychological thrillers better than I can like outright gore and that kind of thing. Where I would say that Nope wasn't really a gory movie. Like Nope was more of like suspense thriller than actual like horror for me.
Cabin in the Woods is so great.
Yes, and that's like, I know that Cabin in the Woods is like the quintessential like homage to horror movies. Like it is like a love letter to horror movies of just like every trope, it's just turned on its head. And Aaron absolutely loves horror movies. He has a list that he has kept of, he just ranks horror movies of like his top favorites, and then he just puts them in the list for fun. So he has this huge list. I feel like I'm the sports wife at this point, where I have finally asked him to explain football to me, and he is so excited. So every Saturday he has gone through, and we are going to watch one horror / psychological thriller / whatever movie to prep me to watch The Babadook. And that's my midterm exam. And then on Halloween, we are going to watch Cabin in the Woods. So
I think with some of the upcoming content, that extra bonus content we've been discussing, not to get into too much in details, that a breakdown of Katie of some of her journey to horror films would be amazing.
That'd be fun.
I think that would be really fun for like me and Todd to just be like, hey guys, all right, I'm just gonna spill all of my frustrations or all of the terror or all of the weirdness that I had.
A therapy session?
Digest it. Yes.
Spilling all the
Granted, Aaron and I probably talked for 2 hours after watching Nope, and us just breaking down everything that, like, all of our thoughts and feelings and ideas regarding it.
That's awesome.
So that's
I
part
love
of
it.
why, he's really, really into horror, and that's part of why I really want to get into horror, and I've wanted to get into horror movies for so long, just because it's such a big part of his life. So
yeah.
That's my goal. So that'll probably be every time you're in here or I'm in with you guys, I will have a horror movie listed somewhere.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, a movie you might enjoy that Charlie and I talked about earlier was The Black Phone, which is very much a thriller, more so than a horror film. And I think you might really like that one.
List. I'm gonna text Aaron randomly The Black Phone, and then he'll be like, "Why are you talking about horror movies?" It's
right, and that's one that's now on its way to streaming because its theatrical run is winding down. So
and then I've also been going through House of M because I've never actually read the entire.
Me neither. So, I should get on that.
Yes, and I know that a lot of stuff that's it obviously hugely impacted the Marvel Universe, so I feel like I should read it. And now that I have Marvel Unlimited, they released like a whole reading list or reading guide, so I just kind of pop through the comics, which is nice. And I mean, I kind of know what happened, but I didn't know what happened. So like I just read the Fantastic Four, which was the Fearsome Four with Dr. Doom.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't really characters I cared about, so I was like, I realized halfway through, I'm like, why am I reading this? I only have one left. It's fine.
Right, you see, it's the completeness thing. It's what it was so hard for me to get off that Avengers run. I'm like, but I gotta get through it. But like you said, stick with the best. Stick with the best.
Well, and it's stuff that I'm sure is building on the rest of the arc. So I'm like, okay, I'll read 5 comics I don't have a huge interest in. Instead of an entire generation of comics, Charlie, that is the key difference here. I'm not trying to read an entire decade, like slog through an entire decade of comics.
And I pushed really hard. And what's funny is I could have quit a lot sooner than I did.
You could have, and you chose not to.
But then it makes me feel like a wimp for not squeezing out those last like 60 issues. I don't know.
A wimp? No, you should take pride in Charlie. I saved time and didn't waste how many hours of my life saying
this is a moment where you need to record yourself and then go back and listen to what you just said.
And well, technically, I'll give myself yet another out. I've read all of those before because I read them when they came out.
You've already tortured yourself once through. Why are you? This is your own version of a horror movie.
Well, fool me once, Charlie. Fool me once.
And again, I was a teenager at the time, so life was already hell because you're in high school.
But you don't need to torture yourself now. That's horrible.
Yes.
Don't do it.
I will revisit that when I talk about what I've been up to. Comics
last one. Lower Decks, oldies but goodies. We're just getting ready for season 3. So if you want to hear my thoughts, feelings, and opinions about Lower Decks, which, spoiler alert, I love it. If you don't know that about me already, is this your first time on the podcast with me? Hi, welcome. But
I'm going to ask a dumb question about Upper Decks. Upper Decks was a baseball card collection.
Yes, I can answer your question. That is not the name of the show.
No. Is season 2 better than season 1?
No. I think it is not. That's my opinion.
I think it's the same. I think that they build out the characters more, and you start to see more individual personas come out. But I also feel like the characters are not, because they set up the characters as such archetypes of like Boimler is like the tattletale, goody two shoes. But by the end of the first episode, that is completely trumped, and completely counteracted. So I feel like they set them up to be fully fleshed characters, and they just expand on that through the second season. But I also know this isn't it's not your cup of tea, and that's totally okay. You don't have to like it.
with season 2, I just thought the humor got less clever. Like the Mugatu episode, and we'll talk about this when we record to talk about Code 47, which we'll have out next week.
Hilarious.
But I just thought it was and that was the hang up I had with the folks I was recording Code with at the time, is they really couldn't stand it. I was kind of like, eh. So you know what? I think I've run through the whole series again. I'll probably watch season 2 again sometime this week because it's so easy to do. 22 minutes, 10 episodes, just blast right through it. But yeah. But Todd, where have you ever ended up with Lower Decks?
So I'm just looking at the episode count. So I think the last one I watched had to be the was it the Clippy episode where it was the badge that was Clippy? Badgie?
Badgie?
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Badgie.
I thought that one was
Here's
clever,
Badgie.
but I liked it because it was tied into like Microsoft and things like that.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, like that. I'm like, if it hasn't grabbed me by that point, I'm loving it. Is it just point? It's just going to be more of the same. It's like if I don't love it, it's not like it's going to make me like it more. Okay, so maybe I'm just saying it's just not for me. The comedy is just like it's okay.
That's
It's
okay.
Yeah.
That's totally valid.
I mean, I'm about to get fooled again because I feel like I'm getting like gaslit or something with the Orville. Like, holy crap, is the Orville having a moment right now? Because everybody's like, season 3, it's the best sci-fi I've ever watched. I'm like, is that true?
We quit after the first episode because it was so, Todd, to coin one of your phrases, it was super bland and generic. It filled a void when there was no Star Trek, and now it's trying to come back and be Star Trek when there's already great Star Trek with Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds. It's just go away. You go now.
Is it for people that don't like? Is it for people that just don't like the new era of Star Trek? Is that what I'm trying to figure? Is that that's what exactly what they want, but they don't want news Trek? Is that what it is?
I can see that.
I could see that too. I think that's right on.
I just don't want to feel like I'm missing out and I've like branded something, but I've been fooled before with the Orville when they said this is the episode that changed everything. I watched it. I'm like, nope, still bad humor, still unoriginal storylines, still bad characters, and still not good special effects.
Yeah, you remember what my catchphrase is for the Orville? It's what 5 TNG plots can we cram into the single episode? Yeah. And I feel like it was that way every time.
And I don't want to hate on it because other people enjoy it, and if you do, I just don't want to miss out on something if it's truly good now. But once again, I didn't like the first 2 seasons, so is the third season going to be the one that's like, oh, it's better now?
That was so passive aggressive.
I know.
I don't want to shoot on anyone who likes it, but I just don't want to miss out on anything.
But give me a second to shit on people who like it.
Like, you know, but if you like shitty stuff, that's on you. Like, love yourself.
Todd is your ultimate passive aggressive girlfriend. Watch out. No, it's okay. It's fine. Whatever.
I'll pull it a triumph. It's great for me to poop on. Yeah.
One winning.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. Seth MacFarlane is never coming on this podcast, apparently.
I don't. Yes, I think we've alienated him beyond the pale. All right. Well, I am actually endeavoring to set aside real honest to God time to read comics because I've been out of it for a long time. And much like I quit with the Avengers, I was successful in reading every issue up to a certain date of The Amazing Spider-Man. And I realized that I'm back out of it. There was a longer storyline that had to do, and it was very metaphysical, that there was this kindred and the Sin Eater, and there were it was more clones and this thing and that thing. And I'm like, okay, good. This is over. They're going to start something new. And I'm now about 14 months back, because it was coming out every other week, is like 15, 16, 17 issues. So I got a while to go. But they're bringing back Ben Reilly again, who is Spider-Man's clone from the mid-90s. But what's happened is Ben Reilly has popped up and he has sold the Spider-Man name to a corporation that he is now an employer of. And he sits on his first issue and has this convo with Peter. He's like, dude, I sold the Spider-Man name to this Beyond Corporation and you can't do shit about it. So, okay. So I hope you're cool with it, but otherwise not.
What?
Yep. That's totally what happened.
GM.
Yeah,
is it going to bring in a spider lawyer to go to Spider Court?
Oh, that's what's going to be in the Spider-Verse. You're going to have Matt Murdock, Spider Lawyer. What do you think?
Spider Judge.
So anyway, by the end of the first issue, and this was, I think, current without legacy numbering. Let's not get started about that. But they're in actually, I read something. It's volume 6 of Amazing Spider-Man right now. They're in issue 75. And they have to fight it's an anniversary doubly long issue. They fight the UFOs in that, which is their 4 different
UFOs.
Yeah, I know. I looked at it right away. I'm like, that's
oh my God, Katie. The UFOs, this ridiculous team of Hulk villains.
I
want you to know we're not actually recording a podcast right now. Todd and I wanted you to be here because this is an intervention.
Oh my God, no! I don't have a problem. I can quit at any time.
For your bad comic book choices.
I drive better when I've had a few bad comic books.
Forget the little red dot on the screen. That's not actually real. We just wanted to talk to you about the fact that you have this really serious problem with wanting to read something to completion.
Oh my goodness. I know. I'm sorry. John Romita Jr. is back, though. That's a good thing.
Yeah, let's let you know, Charlie, sorry, we've blocked your Marvel Unlimited access.
Yes.
You can no longer read anything past 2 issues.
We've gotten you a kid subscription, so only Tom can approve.
Guided view.
It's the parental locks like they have on. Like they have.
It's like the Firefly phone. It's got like
every time you try to read something. Yeah, every time you try to read something that's not allowed, I get a ping, and I have to.
I'm sorry. The comic you're attempting to read is no longer available.
And he gets like 5 credits a week if he does his homework, which is read news things.
Oh my gosh!
I get a ping. What Amazing Spider-Man 96? No, absolutely not.
No. So
he's taking on the Spot. What?
I honestly believe that's what happens. The Spot's going to be very
Webb
big.
Is dating Otto Octavius again.
I think the Spot's going to be very big come the Spider-Verse. But yes, so Ben Reilly's back, blah, blah, blah. But again, back then, Ben Reilly came along, Peter quit, and Peter gets irradiated and he's in a coma. And so it's so very soap opera-y. So, crap on it, if you will. Is any other long-running title, did they run into the exact same shit? Does that happen to the X-Men? Does it happen to Fantastic Four? Does it happen to the Avengers?
I mean, in all fairness, I did used to describe the 90s Marvel comics as soap operas with superpowers. So that's fair. That's a fair assessment.
Being that in a lot of cases, the 90s is very hip again. People are dressing that way, blah, blah, blah. Comics are back as well.
Hypercolor's coming back. Guess Jeans. Jolt Cola. Everybody wants that. It's all back.
Crystal Pepsi. So that's that. So we'll plug along. We'll see. I mean, I may fall off of it altogether. But I watched a couple of episodes of Harley Quinn, which is in season 3 right now. Mm-hmm. You guys, I mean, we've watched Katie, did you end up watching The Boys this past season, or have you watched it at all?
Oh, no. I mean, I know of The Boys. Again, Aaron watches The Boys, and so then he tells me about The Boys and all of the plots. And then you kind of stuff, because I cannot watch that.
And then you have nightmares after he tells you the plot.
No, because he doesn't tell me the gross stuff. He just tells me about.
So it's like 2 minutes long.
Yeah, right. Edited for television. It's like the network approved version of Blazing Saddles. 7 minutes. They had an episode early, and there's I think 5 episodes out now. Episode 4 was Harley Quinn's take on The Boys' Herogasm. So,
no.
Yeah, I've only watched to season or episode 3, so do not go past episode 3.
But anyway, to encapsulate, I love the show. I do love that DC is able to do absolutely wacky, weird shit with their characters that Marvel won't touch with a 10-foot pole because it's.
They tried with MODOK, and that only got 1 season. I love that show.
Exactly. And it was not at all approaching level of what they're doing with Harley. So I dig it. It's plenty crazy. So I'll continue. But again, it's one of those. So many streaming services, I know, Todd, I got that app on my phone that you said will remind me when shit is on. I still miss the push notification. So good thing, bad thing, since it's not appointment television, I can go back and there's 3 episodes and I can watch those. And so I don't have to wait around, but not like this is the kind of show where there's really a big, scary cliffhanger. But anyway, it's very enjoyable. I like it.
Very good. Yeah, I enjoy it. And I'm horrible because I'm only on season 1. I'm like, I love the show. I gotta make time for it because it's really good. I love Bane. I love Clayface. I love the fact that everybody just is just
Gotham Stadium.
Oh my god. Yeah, I just love the supporting cast and how dumb they are. Ron Funches, the voice cast is fantastic.
Ivy was mixing something in her lab and she spills it. It goes through the floor. Oh no, he says to Harley, "Bring me a clean beaker," and she dumps out what's in one and it goes through the floor. And King Shark sitting on the toilet underneath and says, "Ouch, my penises!"
Penises? Oh, do sharks have multiple? Why am I even asking this? Why am I asking this? This is not a biology show.
What difference does it make? Oh my god! But anyway, it's fun. Get caught up. Keep watching it. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Love it. Very quickly, something that's not very good, but I watched it. That's Dayshift. Jamie Foxx is killing vampires because he got to get his kid braces and pay the rent.
Right. And he's got an estranged wife, and it's not like it's necessarily a riff on, and again, this is on Netflix. It's not like it's necessarily a riff on Blade where he's super powered and he's doing this and that and he's doing flips and shit. He's just a regular dude who's like a bounty hunter.
Yes, that works for a union. So apparently there's a union that hires people to kill vampires, and it's worldwide now.
He's on the outs with the union because he broke some rules or whatever, didn't pay his dues or do his TPS reports. I don't know, something like that.
But what will want to make you watch this is the fact that Snoop Dogg is in this movie. And let me just tell you, folks, Snoop Dogg is not a good actor. He's not good at doing action scenes. He's good at just being Snoop Dogg. He's just good at being Snoop Dogg, and he's very tall. So that's kind of Snoop Dogg coming into this. Yes.
He's as tall as me, but is like half my weight. Is because April looked it up. He's tiny.
Yeah, this movie just is so full of tropes and just stereotypes of everything. He's got a partner he doesn't like who's also uber nerdy, played by Dave Franco, and he pees his pants when he gets scared. It's just like this. The comedy is bad, but it's redeemed by action sequences that have no right to be this good in a movie that's so bland and generic. I was really impressed by the action scenes. They were really good, and everybody was selling it big time. And some of the concepts they came up with were actually kind of fun. Like they put in pellets of wood in shotgun shells that would to kill these vampires. I'm like, that's kind of cool. And they were using they were using like steel, like piano wire that they would use to like decapitate vampires. I'm like, this is kind of cool, but it's in this movie. So I don't even know how to feel. I feel like conflicted. And
you want to go on hating it for the right reasons, but you liking it for the, it's like attraction, you're attracted to you're attracted to the bad boy, the bad girl, it's bad for you, but still. Yeah. You're right. I love that, Dave Franco, spoiler, becomes a vampire in it, doing flips and shit, like all these.
That was fun.
Yeah. The other lady in it, the young lady who was in it, is actually the actress who's going to be Sabine in live action Sabine in Ahsoka.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
I had to look that up because I'm like, she looks familiar, and I'm scrolling through IMDb as I always do when I'm watching something at home, and that was what I learned.
Yeah. And once again, what's the worst plot device you can have in a movie? Real estate. No, real estate. It's all about the real estate scam.
Right.
And they're trying to get real estate. And I'm like, really? This is what we're doing? But
like last week on the Goonies?
Yeah. But I will say one last redeeming quality, really banging like old school rap soundtrack. I'll give him credit for that. Yeah.
Right. Well, with Snoop Dogg, what else are you going to have? Oh, my God.
Yeah, and apparently we're going to get a sequel because they left some threads, folks. And this is your Netflix-ass movie of the week. So check it out. They probably spent way too much money on it and didn't pay for writers, as we know.
Right.
Oh, well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how they stay profitable.
Yes, but something that I loved and I'm totally addicted to is American Vandal. I watched season 1, loved it to pieces, kind of left on a cliffhanger, didn't really close the door on all the pieces, but we got a season 2, and I'm like, how are they going to do this? Well, essentially, the high school students were approached for a senior project to investigate another mystery, and it's the mystery of the turd burglar.
Captivating.
This series is ridiculous. I don't know how they got away with what they showed what the crime was, but it's amazing. So, Katie, I don't know if you've heard of the show, but it's essentially like a true crime,
it's like what was that? Of like a true crime, isn't it?
Of like Serial, yeah. But but it's dealing with high school. So then high schoolers, so you get this dumb like in school like politics and everything. It's really funny. This one is set up in I think Northwest Catholic school, high school, and they're trying to understand and figure out who the turd burglar is. And that's all. I'll say it right there, because I showed my mom the second episode. She couldn't stop laughing at the extra crimes they came up with that were also being investigated. It's just super, super well done. I love it.
Where do we find it again?
Netflix. Once again, Netflix. Everything's on Netflix, folks. You can get like true crime. You can get vampire movies. You get animation. You get everything.
That's why we can't get rid of it. That's how they're like the Supremes. They keep you hanging on.
Yeah. You know what? They're like batting average is probably 300. You know what? That gets you like a $50 million contract in the MBL. So you know what? Yeah. MLB, sorry, MBL. What's that? Major Baseball League,
baseball,
basketball league.
Just say basketball. Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
There's a movie we should see if it holds up. Spoiler alert: it does not. I can even
really the creator of South Park made a '90s movie that doesn't hold up with Jenny McCarthy. Oh my God, who knew?
Oh God. Oh yeah. Google it, Katie. Google it. It's ghastly.
I don't think I need to.
No, you don't need to.
But I can assume.
But you know what, folks? This is a good transition because we're going to get into the topic of does it hold up with the next phase of the Thunderdome. So we're going to take Air Qantas, as Charlie would tell us. We're going to get on that plane to the land down under where the mutants rule and we drool. That's the Thunderdome.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in the Thunderdome where the mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, it's Does It Hold Up? Volume 3. My goodness, we're making good pace on these movies. The movie this week is The Last Starfighter. After finally achieving the high score on Starfighter, his favorite arcade game, everyday teenager Alex Rogan, played by Lance Guest, meets the game's designer, Centauri, played by Robert Preston, who reveals that he created Starfighter as a training ground for developing and recruiting actual pilots to help fight a war in space. Whisked away from his banality of his trailer park life to a distant alien planet, Alex struggles to use his video game playing skills to pilot a real ship with real lives at stake. This came out July 13th, 1984. Director was Nick Castle, starring Lance Guest, Daniel Herlihy, Robert Preston, Catherine Mary Stewart. Box office was $29 million on a budget of $15 million and was distributed by Universal Pictures. And folks, this isn't on streaming. You had to buy it or rent it for almost the exact same price.
Hold on. I bought it. That's
Charlie bought it.
You watched it. You're welcome. There.
But how would that work, Charlie? How could we even watch something if we didn't buy it ourselves? No one will know.
Yeah, we definitely bought it
no
ourselves.
No one will know. Just put the 14.
Absolutely.
Put the $14.99 and down in my ledger for business expenses for the podcast.
Absolutely, yeah. So this movie, just a little caveat that's a fun fact. This is one of the first movies that really incorporated CGI into it. Obviously, Tron was the first, but this was the first that after that, this actually tried to make CGI happen with space battles. So that's a precursor for letting everyone understand, does it hold up? So just a thing out there. It's a little bit of a precursor of like what we got after, like probably the most successful was Terminator 2. So this is 84. Terminator 2 came out in 92. So just
91. Summer 91.
91, sorry about that. So from that lens, I have not seen this movie, oh my goodness, probably in 20 years. So it's been a long time. My memory's hazy. I remember plot points, but don't remember every aspect of it. Katie, when was the last time you saw this movie?
Probably around the same time. I mean, because this movie came out over a year before I was born.
Oh my goodness.
So your parents watched it and you were in the womb.
Maybe. Maybe. But I think I probably watched it on the Disney Channel or something when it was playing randomly.
Right. There you go.
And because I remembered parts of it, but I did not remember it in whole. So when Charlie asked me about it, I was like, I think I've seen it, but I can't say for sure. But I kind of remembered bits and pieces of it. So yeah, I can't really say like whether it held up or not. It was a movie. I know I can understand. I'm sure there's probably a lot of like nostalgia, and the CG was, cutting edge at the time, and they did a lot with it. I'm honestly really impressed that the budget was only $15 million, because I was like, I bet this was crazy expensive to produce in the time.
Well, hold on. Charlie's going to employ his favorite
Oh no!
app on
What
his
does it cost
phone,
now?
the inflation
Oh,
calculator.
that's fair. That's very
1984, 1.5.
And I'm going to look at what movies also, like, I'm going to look like what other movies came out in 84 and what was their budget. So
Okay.
Ghostbusters was 84, right?
15, yes, it was. Hold on. 15 million in 1984. Currently, almost $41 million now.
Got it.
That
Wow,
still
that doesn't seem a
like
lot.
big of a budget
No, it seems
for
like
as much
nothing.
Because
Well, right.
a third of the movie, or maybe not
Yeah.
that, but like a quarter of the movie had some
Yeah.
sort of CG to it.
Definitely. Yeah.
So Ghostbusters was $30 million. So double the budget. What They
Right.
weren't in outer space. They were in New York. They had
It was all
protect
just for it was all just
Yeah,
for
but
the
they had the
demon dogs and
Marshmallow
Zool
Man.
and the Marshmallow.
They did
Man,
the
thank you.
Marshmallow Mans, and they had some zombies and they had Slimer,
Right.
so we'll give them
Right,
that. But they had
exactly. Yeah.
full on aliens. I mean,
Well, how
probably the
about,
equivalent. How about like a Star Trek film, Charlie?
Star Trek.
Star
Star Trek 3 came out the same year. Look it up. What was the
Okay,
budget
I'll look
there?
it up. And we'll go from there. But Charlie, when was the last time you saw this movie?
Ooh, I mean, I didn't own it on. My mom owns it on disc, and I feel like I watched it maybe when we were out at her house in Maryland. So within the last decade, but probably I couldn't really pin it down. If that, I might have borrowed it and watched it, like brought it back and watched it, maybe never returned it. So it might still be here somewhere. But that was probably like I said, over 10 years ago.
Okay,
So we're all kind of on the same
time
mark.
has passed. Yeah, enough time has passed. You haven't like in a lot of these movies. If you watch them continuously through time, they don't. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. You kind of but when it's been that long, I watch it with my mom. My mom's visiting, and she couldn't even remember if she took me to it back in 1984. So I don't know.
Right.
I don't remember if I saw it in the theater or I just saw it on VHS. So I don't remember
Well,
either.
I don't think this was a theater one first, because that was the summer that we moved to Grand Rapids. So I don't know if we were doing stuff like that. We saw a lot of this shit, like VHS tapes, and a buddy has it and he copied it and whatever.
And it might have came to like
yeah.
HBO or something like that.
Warning at the beginning, it says you wouldn't download a car. Why would you download a
What?
Fuck yes,
What?
I would. Are you
Right?
kidding me? With as much driving as I do, I would download a car every week.
No,
You
it had
shitting
it had that old VHS warning at the
Right.
beginning. Of
Oh,
like,
that's
you
I didn't even notice
Yeah,
that.
you
That's
wouldn't
I
download a
didn't-
car.
I didn't see
it was
that at
great.
all in the not shared copy of this that we all watched.
Yeah, I must have watched a different copy.
Yes,
okay.
that's it.
So Charlie, going back to your question, Star Trek 3 cost $17 million budget.
What?
So
Well,
for an extra $2 million, you got what? Vulcans and Klingons?
Well, in Star Trek 3, which is my favorite Star Trek film, there was a lot of reused sets and costumes, and they shot the main bit of it on the soundstage. So, yeah, there you go.
Sunk budget. There you go. See, good
budget.
financial acumen. So, and this is from Lorimar Pictures, which I don't even know the last time they made a film. So I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, they did. Well, I'll go first. I'll go first because I have something positive to say. I think, setting aside the CGI stuff, which is obviously looking at it through a modern lens of almost 40 years later, I think the plot of the film, and particularly contrasting it with last week when we were talking through Goonies and we're like, wow, the entire driving plot of this movie makes no sense if you're an adult. I think the driving plot of this film absolutely holds up. I think it's super cool. We need more grist for the mill. It's a draft, and we need so many people that we got to go to different planets and shit. Well, how do we find people that can actually do what they need to do? We put them through a test and we make it very innocuous. So we put and again, it's in the generation of the arcade games, which is not a thing anymore. So, it would be, this is a download on the PlayStation Store or whatever is what it would be in this day and age. Got to be some flavor, whatever that would be now. But I think it's super cool. I like the concept, and the last Starfighter part is it's kind of the surprise attack that kills everybody off. So hey, dude, you're it, and the other guy who in my brain I kept feeling like he was Louis Gossett Jr.'s character in Enemy Mine, which came out next year.
He looks a lot like that alien species. This could be a crossover, Charlie. It could be the same race.
It wasn't the same guy, but it was like, because I think Louis Gossett Jr.'s character had kind of a spiky face. They were both brown with no hair. So this guy was brown, but he just had scales, and I don't know. I think the concept and the plot holds up, in my opinion. I think, obviously you kind of push the You push the arcade game bit out of the way. You push the CGI off to the side, though obviously they were able to do a lot with their $15 million. And they filmed it on location, a little trailer park north of LA, blah, blah. That was obviously very easy to pull off. But there are two super cool Star Trek connections, which I will save till the very end, but don't let me forget.
My goodness. There we go. So I'll give you a little of my 2 cents on this. I smiled my way all the way through this movie. It just was a feel-good movie. It didn't commit a lot of the sins of a lot of movies where the main character took like 3/4 of the movie to finally like, oh, all these crazy aliens. I don't know where I'm at. And it's like, no, it kind of just had good pacing.
He just jumped in. He was like, I'm good. Let's party.
It didn't feel like they had to go through that. Yes, there was one turn where the hero had a moment of self-doubt, but I thought overall, I think it really just had fun. It was a fun movie. I loved like his alien counterpart. I thought it was hilarious. I thought he was so enthusiastic, and he's like, "Oh yes, haha!" And he was joking a lot. I love the Robert Preston character because he's the Music Man, and we know him and his funny music and things like that. So it was a great character to pick to play it. An old man from a classic movie era brought in,
and this was actually the last thing that actor did. He passed away shortly after.
That's amazing because he just seemed very lively in it. And yes, I totally get.
And then he wasn't because he
was post lively. Yes. So then I just thought it did a lot of things right. I like the fact that they realized they need to have someone there to fill in for him when he's off planet. That one scene where they showed him when he was not fully formed, that was kind of gross, but kind of cool. The alien assassination. I thought the costuming work and the makeup was kind of cool.
The lobster, he was lobster.
Yeah, that was kind of fun, and it definitely covered the 80 part was funny because I thought at one point where they're in the truck and doing those things, I'm like, are we in a Mountain Dew commercial from the 80s? Because it kind of felt like that. Everybody's in the back of a truck. We're going to the lake to make out. That is so 80s, but I enjoyed it because it was a throwback. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yes. Did they kind of skimp on some of the secondary characters like the little brother, the girlfriend, the mom? Yes. But other than that, yeah, I just had a good time. And the CGI, while yes, it was kind of like you could definitely tell, it wasn't too distracting where it felt like a B movie. I thought they used it well enough, which was just the space battles. And I thought it worked. And then also the weird DeLorean limo. Did you guys like that? Where it looked like it was just a DeLorean they stretched out. So that was kind of fun.
Or rather, you could call it a delimo.
Yeah, exactly. Delimo, yes. So overall, I really enjoyed it again. Now, once again, we're going to lean into Katie very heavily because once again, when you watch it previously to now, and not being of the 80s, are we just looking through rose-colored goggles?
I mean, I think overall it was a fun movie to watch. Like, I don't greatly regret watching it being like, oh my gosh, that was a slog fest. That was horrible. I mean, I don't think it could be released today and have it hold up. Like, even like with updated graphics and stuff. I mean, because you have the one black character who speaks, who basically gives him like the magical Negro effect of like, oh, you just have to keep trying.
The legend of Bagger Vance, the caddy, the magical caddy.
Oh no! That's like, at least you didn't pull up the bag.
Yeah, his girlfriend just decides to drop everything and leave everything she's ever known for her high school sweetheart.
Sorry, Grandma. Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm leaving.
And I was like, no, absolutely not. Do not go with him. That's a horrible idea.
What's her role going to be anyway? She's like, you're going to outer space. Are you going to be a space teen?
A space wife, I guess?
Is she going to Space Community College? Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, so like that kind of stuff obviously was like, I was like, okay, sure. But it was made in 1984. Like, that wasn't something that was really considered when they were writing it. Like, even the mom being like, oh, I always knew you would leave, but I didn't know it was going to be like it. Like, your son just showed up in a spaceship for like less than 5 minutes, is like, peace out, I'm going to space to start a space academy.
No big deal.
Like, oh, have fun. The 9-year-old little boy is out there looking at has a Playboy catalog. And he's like, what is going on?
I will absolutely tell you. That is absolutely what it was like to be. That's what it was like for me when I was growing up in the 80s. Playboy was everywhere. That's all I can tell you.
Yes.
How did you?
However, it was one of those things where I was looking and I'm like, this is definitely an 80s PG movie versus a now PG movie. Like, especially with like the way that like the deaths were happening and the weird, like you were talking about, like the beta guy, you know, his robot counterpart showing up. I'm like, this stuff would have terrified me as like a 9-year-old kid.
Oh, did you see the one scene where the guy was being tortured, like by the?
Yes, and he's like melting.
Melting.
Yeah, exactly. He was melting like a candle. It was whack.
Okay,
Yes,
was the alien design one of the worst ones? It was like, these are just a bunch of people with white hair and are bald. And everybody, women are white,
just has really baldness.
Horrible design.
Like
what was the design?
Ladder Klingons, you know, exactly. Klingons, but with they got a better do. It's a perm.
Also, you know, I am going to point out, just as someone who is queer and watching this, I did notice that the only guy who was really wearing makeup or had any type of, like, they gave the villain some kind of effeminate traits. He had eyeliner on, he had false lashes, he had lipstick, and I was like, this is
headgear
the 80s.
too.
Yeah,
had headgear.
This is the 80s of, like, you know, slightly homophobic. We're going to make the villain slightly effeminate to just underpin that he's evil. So, but like I said, I did enjoy watching it. Aaron and I watched it actually just before we came on. We watched it with dinner tonight, and it was still fun. Like, I loved Greg. I thought he was a great character. He was a lot of fun. I would honestly have loved to learn more about him instead of, you know.
Yeah, you're right. It was very discounted to just be about the starfighter. There was barely a B plot. So
yeah. I really like I literally like the ship design, and I did like the other the evil aliens design too. I thought they looked kind of cool, iconic with their very cool like body armor that was red. Mm-hmm. So I think they got points for that because this is obviously an original property, not based on anything else, and it was a lot of fun. And I do think, to your point, does this hold up and could be released today with a little bit of CGI? No, I think the concept is good though, because to your point, this could be like they could just use an online game and try it again and draft the next generation of like heroes and put this across the world. So I like the concept, and I thought this is really ripe for the picking to bring back. And I even heard like the creator or the writer of Rogue One is actually trying to pitch like a reboot of it. So that'd be very
I would love that.
Yeah, if you look through Wikipedia for this, there are 4 or 5 instances in the last 35 years where they've been like, and there was a property, this and that, and then it got sold, and then then Laura Mar went out of business, and then it bounced over here. So there's been rumblings about it, but yeah, I think this has always been a victim of not really being able to find footing to get remade. But all right, I'm ready to give you my super special Star Trek connections. There are 2.
Oh, yes.
The lobster face guy, who gets it's a guy walking by who gets overtaken by the machine and transformed.
Oh yes, the cop.
Mm-hmm.
He is Mark Alimo, Gul Dukat from Deep Space Nine. Same actor.
Oh really? He's got hair.
Yeah. Hard to tell. Well, this was 10 years before DS9, and it's a blink and you'll miss it, or it ended up on the cutting room floor. Lewis, the little brother, has a buddy who is played by Will Wheaton.
Did not see him in the movie.
Yeah, pre-Stand By Me, which was Will Wheaton's big breakout. So yes, there you go. There's your Star Trek connections. Gul Dukat and Wesley.
Very, very fun. Yes. So this, like I said, it's weird because Universal Pictures distributed, but it's not on Peacock Plus. So, so it's weird that you can't find this anywhere, which is just a shame. And it's $15 to buy it. It's, I think, $5 to rent it. So
you know what? Maybe the $15 that we spent, all of us, because we all purchased it or rented it, will give this enough gas for them to say, had 3 people engage in watching it. We have 3 pieces of engagement. Now it's time to bring it back. The time is now.
The masses have spoken. Please take this property and make it good. Put it on Netflix. Spend way too much money on it, and don't pay writers. I think that's what we're saying.
Go. There you go. Just make it a straight remake. There you go. It's good stuff.
Yeah, put Seth what's his name from Pineapple Express in it. Yeah,
Seth Rogen.
Put Seth Rogen in it. You've got a winner. Woo!
Oh my God. Oh, crazy.
Yes. So that is it for Does It Hold Up? And I guess the question is, we didn't ask. So does it hold up? Very quickly, Katie?
Yes. I'll With a question mark.
Give it like maybe like
no,
an 80.
I just asked you that question.
Maybe give you like an 80.
You know,
like if you were to give it like a percentage split, would you give it like a 70-30?
Sure.
I would say I would give it 6 out of 10 Death Blossoms.
Oh,
Nice. Ooh,
there you
that's
go.
awesome.
I'm going to match and barely exceed that with a 6.5. I liked it.
I'll give it a 70% because yes, I think it has really good hallmarks, but yes, there's some things that hold it back from being.
It's got good bones. We'll say it's got
it does.
That's a good way to put it. Yes.
Yes, and it did make me laugh because there was a lot of like sex hijinks that made me laugh too. So
Right.
and I don't know if those hold up either. Oh well, that is it for Does It Hold Up? We've got one more week of this. It's going to be very fun because we're going to have a movie that Katie wouldn't touch with a 20-foot pole, so she's not going to be on that episode.
No,
so that's
really
perfectly fine. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. So yeah, and with that, that is it for the podcast. So with that, Katie Quinn, tell people how they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter under Q_T_Geek and on Instagram at Quintessential Geek.
Oh yeah,
Charlie Carden.
I can be found over on Twitter at the C3. Just spell it out. My lovely wife April and I run the USS Grand Petoskey, the Michigan chapter of the International Star Trek Fan Club, of which Katie is now a member. She's a crewman, but she's on her way up. I'm sure of it. And I also do try to fill. The Grand Petoskey you find at our website and then on all social media platforms you would expect. I also try to fill up our Secret Friends Unite Facebook communities with news and things of that nature. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Todd, what about you?
Well, I can't wait to have Katie and see her mutiny on the Grand Petoskey. So great things are ahead, obviously. So we'll see how that goes.
Lower decks.
Yes, the lowest of the decks.
I think of the Strange New Worlds episode where, yes, they had mutiny on that episode too. As fun as that is, you can find me at Toxtra on Twitter, having a good time. Just if you want to. Actually, if you want to be on the podcast, let us know. DM myself or Secret Friends Unite on Twitter at Secret Friends U. And that's how you can be on the show if you have a penchant and are an expert about something. So with that, check out our YouTube, check out our basically our secretfriendsunite.com page because everything is there for the taking. So with that, that's where you can find me.
Yes, indeed. Friends, as always, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain. Oh! Let's try it again.
Let's try it again. Katie first.
Keep it sleazy.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite.